What's going on, y'all? So it's Friday, and I shared with y'all yesterday that I got an order to get my brother Baker acted, and from that point on, even to now, I can literally call the non-emergency police number and they will come pick my brother up and transport him to Jackson Memorial Mental Health Unit on 27th Avenue and 150th Street, I believe. Okay, at any rate, because my brother had been Baker acted 4 or 5 times in the past, unbeknownst to the family, and subsequently released, I did not want to have him Baker acted without understanding what the process would be once he gets to the facility, because my biggest fear was he'd get there, they lock him up for up to 72 hours, they wouldn't release any information to me, they release him with all the information, and he ends up tearing up the papers or not communicating to us what's going on because he has the inability to do so, and we are back at square one. So before I called the police, I made up in my mind last night that today I would physically drive to the mental health place and ask someone what would be the process, what can I do? I'm a concerned family member, what programs help me, guide me through the conservatorship process. I need him some long-term care. What are his medication options? What are my legal options? I need to know all of this. So I get there to Jackson, I tell the front lady what's going on, the receptionist lady, and she says, you need to go around back, because if they bring him here, they're going to take him around back. She said, buzz that door and ask to speak to a social worker. I go around back, buzz, if they say something, I say, hi, the woman up front told me to ask to speak to a social worker. I hear somebody coming with keys. I am greeted by a nurse by the name of, I think, Michael Scibio, and a black woman security guard that's got a metal detector wand thing in her hand and a bunch of keys. Now, the security lady was very pleasant. It's not her job to speak to me. It's just her job to ensure safety. So she was standing there. The nurse, on the other hand, he wasn't rude. He was semi-helpful but relatively evasive. And I guess that's because, listen, everybody got a job to do, and everything you need help is always somebody else's department. And that's what I was scared of in dealing with this situation. So I explained to him my situation. And so he was like, well, has your brother been here before? I said, to be honest, I do not know. I was like, we live in the area, so maybe he has. What's your brother's name? I give my brother's name. So he says, well, listen, if he gets here, he's going to get here, we're going to check him in, we're going to transport him to Jackson North, and then over there, a doctor's going to see him and determine if he can be released or not. So I said, sir, I already know that. What I'm trying to get to is what happens next? Who can I speak to next to follow this process through from beginning to end to make sure he has some care? He said, well, you may want to speak to a social worker. I said, well, that's what I told you from the jump. He says, well, there are no social workers here. So mind you, it's 2 o'clock on a Friday. He said, so I said, well, when will the social workers be back? On Monday. I said, okay, well, if I have him Baker acted today, are y'all going to hold him for 72 hours? He's like, well, I didn't say that. He was like, a doctor is going to see him, and if a doctor deems him, not going to hurt himself, anybody, they're going to release him. And so while I'm getting frustrated with the nurse, I understand that to protect his own ass, there are these preset responses that he must give me to not place himself in harm's way or place the company in any liability. I totally get that. So I take a deep breath and I said, okay, are you able to at least advise me on what is going to happen next? What programs I can get him to? What department or who I need to speak to that will help me get him? Because I said, sir, I can't have him come here, y'all sign him out in a day or two, and now I'm back at square one. So then he says, well, you may want to have him if the police come, you may want to have him taken downtown to the main crisis mental health center. At the main crisis, they have the psychiatrists and the social workers on staff, I'm assuming 24/7. I said, thank you, and I understand that. However, just me thinking in advance, My paper from the court says that the police are to bring him here. So I already know nobody wants to be bothered with this. And this is my issue with government situations, and it's not their fault, and this is not a rant about government workers. But I already know when I say to the police, can you please take him to the downtown facility? They are going to say to me, this order says to bring him here. And if I have him come here and no social workers are here and y'all release him, now I've got to wait another 30 days or another week to get another Baker Act to get him here, and I am back at square one. So I said, would you advise me bring him here today, get him picked up, or wait until Monday? His response was, I can't tell you what to do. That's completely up to you. He was like, if you want to speak to a social worker, then you need to have him come Monday. And once you know that he's admitted, then you can come speak to a social worker. He also recommended if I wanted him to go to the main crisis place, follow directly behind the police and come in when they come in, and perhaps I would get to speak to the psychiatrist as well. So here is what I decided. Well, remember I told y'all I had a friend that's a licensed clinical social worker, and she said that if I can get him in my car, that she would see him at 5 o'clock today. Well, I was going to go that route, but I got to my aunt's house, and we don't know where my brother is anyway. She said she hasn't seen him since yesterday. We went to his normal hangout spots, and we haven't found him. And so, I'm just giving up for the day, and I'm going to wait until Monday. He normally doesn't get missing for more than 2 or 3 days, and I'm sure and confident by Monday or Tuesday he will pop up. So my plan as of now is to wait till Monday, call the police, have him Baker acted, and take it back to Jackson Mental Health on 27th Avenue in Opa-locka, Florida. That's where he's at. And I'm giving all this information because if any of y'all know any of the social workers, any of the psychiatrists, any of the doctors at Jackson Mental Health, the one in Opa-locka on 27th Avenue, let them know I'm coming. That I'm coming, and I'm not accepting no round and round answer. I need some damn help. I'm not leaving that damn place until I get some help. I'm taking names. I'm making videos because I need some assistance. And it's not to get anybody in trouble, and I'm not trying to threaten anybody, but I'm not going to be easily turned around with these evasive, vague ass answers because everybody wants to transfer me from department to department to department. My background training is in accounting. Okay, I by nature of my design, I don't know social service work, I don't know mental health work, and I should be able to come to the mental damn health place and get all the assistance that I need and all the information from the people who work in this arena. I'm not coming down on the nurse. I guess his job is just to treat the people. It ain't necessarily his job to know the social work aspect of it. But I am coming back Monday with the expectation that the people who work in the social work division of this particular building will be able to empower me and enlighten me with the information I need to A, gain legal conservatorship or guardianship over him, B, help me with the disability process and getting him rendered disabled so he can get insurance, medical, and some sort of financial and housing assistance, and C, somebody who would be able to advise me on what type of long-term inpatient and outpatient treatment plan that I can expect and point me in the right direction of said programs. I'm not leaving that place until I get that. Somebody gonna know my name in there, and it ain't gonna be the neighbors, in the words of Trey Songz. So that's where I'm at with it. Anybody on the Jackson Memorial staff that knows anybody from Jackson Mental Health, please, my email address will be in the description box down below, funkydaniva@funkydaniva.com. A bitch needs some assistance. Again, for those of y'all who have been following me through this journey, please drop down in the comments and let me know, am I taking the right course of action? I also saw someone email me and told me that if I open up an adult protective services case, that a social worker has to come to the house like immediately within 24, 48 hours. And at that point, that person will be able to help me expedite the conservatorship process. So I do think that I am probably going to do that with adult protective services. Because this is an immediate situation. At this point, my brother is like sleeping on the streets. We don't know where he's sleeping at this point. But, thank you so much for the outpouring of support that I've gotten from people. And here's what's funny. In telling my own story, it almost makes me feel like this is more prevalent than not. Because every single person who's responded, if it didn't affect them directly, they're like my cousin, my uncle, my grandma, my neighbor. So it seems as if mental illness, especially within the black community, is more goddamn common than we care to talk about. Here it is, everybody is experiencing this. So let's be a community, a forum, a sounding board for one another. Please keep your comments and suggestions coming in, because I'm realizing I am not the only person who needs help with this situation. There are so many people in the comments and in looking at this video who need this help and who this is helping. So thank y'all so much. And again, I will keep y'all abreast on this this journey. You know, something else that somebody else suggested was that I contacted an organization called NAMI, which I am, but they also said that I should find a mental support group for my own mental sanity in terms of dealing with the family member who has this disease, because it can become very taxing on the person who's in charge of facilitating all of this, which it is. I am exhausted from all of the running around I'm doing. It's Friday. I somewhat feel defeated because I feel like I've spent 2 days and have gotten, quite frankly, nowhere. I'm no further today than I was yesterday. But that's all right. I'm not giving up. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to rest. And I'm not going to give up. So thank y'all, and I will keep y'all abreast. Bye.